All right, let's do it. We're going to be doing blob to box critiques. I think overwhelming majority of you guys thought this was a very helpful project, which I'm really happy to hear that. This is kind of what we've been waiting for, right? Like all the first part of the perspective was all about learning the theory, the rules, and it was, it was a little boring. But now we're putting it into practice. We're actually learning how to use it on real things. And this is where it gets fun, because we can start using our intuition and start building things and not have it be totally perfect, but good enough, right? Because we know the rules and we can fix things to look good enough. So I'm really glad that this was useful. So I'm going to jump into Patrick Bosworth. He says, super helpful. Use the timer tool to get the blob down quickly, and then took some time to refine in passes. So the timer tool is a tool that we put out last year, where it's like timed sessions of 1 minute poses, 3 minute poses, 5 minute poses from the packs that you guys have purchased. And there's also free sample packs available, so you guys could go and draw people for this exercise, and the sample pack should be good enough for that. And looks like that's what he did. Like, I could see the blobs in here that you're putting in, and then working from those to get some really nice boxes. Like, you're definitely imagining these really well. I don't think I have much to say other than that this is just a really good example. A loose vision, but you're kind of copying it based on the vision, making sure that the relationship between these three different parts are working. There's a gesture through them, and then you use that to help you imagine the boxes. And I think that this definitely helped you, because these are looking really 3D. Awesome. Great. Good job, Patrick. Looks like Blair Wilson has a bunch of really good examples as well. Let's take a look at some of these. It's working. This is like just really quick blob, a little cap on the top, and then moving right into a really accurate box that represents pretty closely what that blob would be. I mean, some of these blobs are like really loose. like this one, you had barely anything there. I mean, it looks like you're just really good at drawing boxes, so it works. Yeah, I don't know if I'm seeing anything wrong. I mean, this one maybe looks a little bit too flat. Like, I'd like to see maybe a little bit more of a sharper corner in here. It looks like somebody stepped on this and it's flattening out. Other than that, those are really nice boxes. Using some line weight. And then you moved on to level 2 with some overlapping forms. These are a little bit sloppy, but that's not a problem. Again, we're sketching. It's a little bit more difficult for me to look at them, but for you, the person drawing, this is definitely not too sloppy. Like, if I was doing it at this level of sloppiness, I think I would be totally fine with it. And the most important thing is that these are looking dynamic. The boxes, or the three parts, they all seem to interact really nicely with each other. And then the boxes look roughly pretty good. Occasionally you have areas where maybe the convergence is a little bit too much. Like in here, like you have these lines converging really quickly, even though this is not moving away from us that much. Like, we're looking quite a bit onto this plane. So I wouldn't converge that as much as you're showing. And also same thing here. These two lines are converging way too much. So just occasionally things like that, where just the amount of convergence isn't consistent through a drawing. So watch out for that. All right, Fabian, let's see what you got. Okay, these are fun. They got like this little cartoony style to them. I kind of like it. Like the edges are all a little wobbly and imperfect, but it looks good for some reason. I don't know why. They got a little bit of life to them. So yeah, that's cool. Let me bring this one into Photoshop. Sometimes the convergence is a little bit weird though on yours as well. I mean, maybe that's part of the reason why some of them have a little bit of lifelike quality, because they're not perfect boxes. They have like a little jiggle to them. You know, like this one. You know, that's not a box. That convergence is way too strong to be a box. That's definitely like a trapezoid. But then you have something like this one here, where it's actually, as it's going away, the convergence is going the other way. And then here it's not going the other way. Here they are converging. So just inconsistencies make these feel a little wobbly, and sometimes it works. Like in most of these it's working, But in this one, number 5, I don't think it's working. That one just looks like it's got wrong perspective. I also kind of like how sometimes you make your boxes a little bit like bloated. Like these edges are a little bit curved. This one's just got a little bit of wobble to it. That's kind of nice. I mean, I think I did that in my demo as well. So maybe that's just a personal preference. But I do like making the boxes have some bubbliness to them. I think that's just me trying to add some kind of gesture to my boxes because they're just so rigid that I want to give them some kind of movement. And that's just a really easy way to do it. Let's see, you got a few here from imagination. And yeah, good job just coming up with various poses to practice. Like this one where they're kind of moving away from you fast in different directions, lying down on the side. Yeah, like some twisting going on some of these. Yeah, good job. A lot of good variety. And same thing on this page. Mostly good, occasionally convergence issues. Like in number 5, the head is just a little sloppy and there's little things happening there that make it look not as structured as it should. But overall, good job, Fabian. Let's move on to Lise Ann. This was my first go. Drawing intuitively feels nice, but also makes me question myself. Why am I doing it this way? Wait, what about the rules? I wanted to make big changes a couple of times. I don't feel like I got it yet, so I'm going to make a page of each every day this week to be continued. Awesome. I mean, totally. We were doing the rules for a while, and now we're trying to break free from the rules and use our intuition. And that's why we learn the rules, so that we can always fall back on them. But you definitely want that balance where you don't depend on the rules. You could draw freely, because when you can draw freely, that's when your creativity comes out. I mean, isn't that the whole point? We want to be able to sketch our ideas, sketch our vision, instead of sketching like math problems. So yeah, we learn the rules so that as we're creating and we're in the flow and we run into an issue, we got those rules to save us. And also the rules helps us build that intuition in the first place. But you are right. It definitely will take some time to get comfortable with that idea and to keep developing that intuition. But looking at your drawings, I think you're doing pretty good. Again, a little bit of convergence issues in some of them, like this one here, a little bit right here. It's getting thicker instead of thinner, but mostly really good. Like I could tell that they're 3D forms. They're not perfect boxes. They're a little bit kind of wobbly, like I was just saying, but they're very three-dimensional. And unless you're doing architectural stuff, if you're doing mostly figurative stuff, then this is great. This is better. You want your stuff to be a little bit wobbly and feel more alive, because that's going to give it more gesture. So I don't think that's the worst. This one is a little strange. You made your box have like 2 forms. I don't know if that was intentional, but that's also just not how the body is structured. The pelvis and the rib cage are 2 hard forms, right? They're the 2 big bony structures. And then you got a spine in between that moves them, but they kind of generally, those 2 stay roughly the same structure as they move. And then the stuff in between, the abs, the obliques, or like the muffin tops, that stuff stretches. But this portion of it that you're drawing going the other way doesn't really represent those things, I don't think. I would have just drawn that box ending and then not have another form coming out. So it's a little strange to me, but maybe you had something in mind here for this that I'm not understanding correctly. Then this one right here on the left, I think, is your weakest one, where a lot of the lines are just not converging correctly. And also a little bit too flat right here. Like there should be a harder corner going back in here, or the head should go up more. So one of those things just needs to change. Depending on which of these planes is correct, the other 2 need to change to kind of fit it better. But yeah, I mean, based on all your other boxes, it seems like you're always getting really close. So just keep practicing and you'll get better and better. Oh, actually, you provided the photos for those. These are actually really great photos. Let me take these into Photoshop and actually do a little draw over for you, because these are great examples. All right, I think I have them mixed up here. I think this is this one and this is this one, so we'll flop them. Let's start with this guy over here. So what I was saying is that this corner is a little strange. I would simplify the entire rib cage into a single box, contain that whole thing. And so what I'm seeing on her is kind of like you have this, right, and you have the rib cage, right? So there's kind of a blob, and there's like the pit of the neck in here, and then, you know, the head points this way. And then from there, you have the hips going this way. Right, something like that. And so the way I would simplify that into a box is, let's start with another blob real quick. I don't want to draw over it, just so you could see both of the things I'm thinking about. There's the blob. I'm seeing a little bit of that left side. And then I would actually show this edge right here, because these are really important landmarks. I know we're not drawing the figure yet, but this is always great information, is just these corners are actually visible on her. Like if we look at her, you got a corner poking out here, and then the corner here is being kind of sunken into her. But that relationship, that angle is really important. And I'm clearly exaggerating this quite a bit, but it's okay. I'm going off of my blob. I typically exaggerate the gesture of a pose. And then from there, I will finish off the rest of this box. And then the hips, I can also start with a little box, or sorry, a little blob. And if I look at the gesture of this, that's actually wrong. And since this is digital, I could just shift that over. There you go. Okay, that's more of the correct gesture, because I'm seeing from here, that skin, that abs are kind of stretching like that. Okay, so I got my blob in the right spot, and now, you know, the hips are tilting up this way. They're rotating up, and so I'm gonna see a little bit of that bottom. So let's just kind of add a little cap right there. And then I feel like I'm not seeing the size of this at all. I think it's just pretty much straight on, so the center line would be like right there. So let's just draw 2-point perspective box, or almost 1 point for the hips. Something like that. And again, I'm exaggerating it a little bit here, just to kind of push it. I typically, when I'm doing quick sketch figure stuff, I push it, and then if I push it too far and it's broken, I'll kind of reel it back in. I feel like this one I probably pushed so far that I broke it. Like, I'm not actually seeing that much of the bottom plane, but that still looks kind of nice. Let me move this down and do it again without breaking it. So you got blob, center line, and if anything, I think I might be seeing just a little bit of this side, just a little bit of the bottom, not too much. That's a little bit closer to what I'm seeing, and then I could refine it further from there. But my whole point is that what you did here is a little bit too complicated. I think you overcomplicated it for yourself. Just a simple box for the entirety of the rib cage would have been great. And then for this one over here, the convergence that I'm talking about, the issues, is that this should have been more like pushed in so that these converge as they're going away. But that's not even really the biggest issue. If you're drawing from that reference, that rib cage is leaning back away from us, right? So this is closer and this is going away from us. So we would have the rib cage here as the blob, and then we would see a little bit of the bottom and the side. And so the rib cage would be more like this. Now it looks like it's moving away from us this way. This one you got correct, just a little bit skinny, but that's okay. But yeah, this one generally fine. I just think that maybe these should be a little bit more of a corner to feel more like a box. You're kind of flattening some of these out. There. That feels a little more boxy to me. And then for the head, let's zoom in here on the head and draw it next to it. So the blob would be something like this. And then I'm seeing a little bit underneath the chin. I'm seeing a corner right there from between the front and the side. So that's my little blob shape. So it'd be something like that. Move that next to yours. There you go. So see how yours seems like it's been flattened out, like someone stepped on it? Because, so again, some of the corners are flat. Just like how you did it here, you did the same thing, where instead of having these corners that look like they're turning a full 90 degrees for a box, what you're doing is you're flattening these. So you're doing like this. Right? And when you flatten these, that could just mean that we're now rotating the box, right? Like I could totally do that and make it work if I'm seeing only a tiny piece of that top plane, and that also is a box. But what you're doing is you're also kind of tilting these in a way that makes these two angles not really feel like a box anymore. It feels like the whole top plane is shifted and flattened. And see, now it looks like a box that went zip. It's like a box in italics. Because that's a good word for it. Your boxes look like they've been italicized. All right. Anyway, thank you, Lisanne. Those are great examples. Anderson says this is a fun project. All right. Yes. Obviously, it's helpful as Stan wouldn't be teaching it, but I found it to be especially good for me. I often find that when I try to start with perspective in figures or composition, I lose a lot of my ability to explore, and it also stiffens up my drawings. Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what it's for. It's for exploration. It's for trying these things out quickly, establishing relationships really quickly. I did struggle as sometimes I felt my initial shape didn't take into account mild foreshortening, and that's okay. Those are little things that you can adjust. But if there's a lot of foreshortening, then yeah, you could probably inject a little bit of that into your blob. But the subtle foreshortening, like the mild foreshortening you're talking about, yeah, you could adjust those things after the blob. But I guess this is part of the exploration process. As soon after time, I will be able to put down blobs that can also imply the level of perspective and even the corners of the shape. Yes, I presented this as a blob because I wanted you guys to start with the other extreme, where it's just like super loose and just melted whatever. It's like the simplest possible shape you can use to represent like the size and the angle. That's pretty much it. But eventually, you'll start doing more than just like a blob. You'll do a very rough box where it's still kind of blobby and it's just maybe a portion of the box, but it's the portion that you are imagining well. And it's like a gestural few lines that are kind of boxy. And also, everybody develops their own approach that they feel comfortable with. I mean, we all have different strengths. Our brains all work a little bit differently. You know, some people are more creative, some people more, logical and need to follow rules. And so everybody's going to gravitate towards a different approach. And so you will figure it out the way it works for you. But generally, yes, you will be able to, as you practice, start with slightly more complex blobs that indicate more than just like an oval. Looking forward to incorporating this into my warm-ups and my compositions. I think these ideas pair nicely with figure drawing. Oh, absolutely. This is exactly what I presented it for. It is perfect for figures, and when I'm doing figure drawing, this is kind of my approach. I start with very loose indications of the three parts, also the limbs, of course, and then as I add some of the more structural elements and even the muscles and bones and all of that, I am imagining that box Sometimes I will draw some of the boxy elements in areas where it really shines, where it was really, really important. Like I just showed the corners of the rib cage. I will very frequently put that angle and a little bit of a corner, whichever corner is the important one, the more visible one. I'll actually show that as a corner, and then I'll soften it later and make it more organic. For the shoulders, I almost always think of front or side, top, front. If it's a back view, the back. But this is a box. This is a box, and these boxes move. You know, they're free flowing. They'll twist. Right? You can do all sorts of things with your shoulders, but they're boxes. They have front, top, side, back planes, and if you can identify that orientation of each shoulder and the relationships between them, and then also how they sit on the box of the rib cage, man, that is such a big advantage. It's a step up. You're able to just draw all of the stuff on here so much more accurately once you get the hang of thinking of these blobs. I mean, really, like the shoulder is kind of a blob, right? And the rib cage is kind of a blob. And so once you can look at that blob and say, okay, yeah, that shoulder is that box. And then you can use these angles to map your shadows a little bit more accurately and imply that perspective. And it just works so well. I mean, all of this is flowing in my head when I'm drawing the figure. God, I got a little monologue there. Let's look at your blobs. They're great. Yeah, these are wonderful. I don't think I'm seeing anything terribly off. I mean, something happened right here, but it looks like you're fixing it, so that's good. Getting real complex here, but it seems like you're handling all that complexity pretty well. Yeah, great job. I really got not much to say about yours. Let's see, Jeremiah. Yeah, these are working. Looks like you're starting with a blob. Occasionally, you're like, I don't know what's going on here, which of these boxes is correct. I mean, you obviously cleaned it up this way, but what happened with this other box? And then a lot of stuff happening in here, which is fine. Like, you're working through the process, you're problem solving. This is great. This is exactly what you should be doing in your practice, on your practice pages. And so you're getting better at drawing these boxes. Something happened here, you figured out that you're just on the wrong path, and then you solved it. And that box that you have here in black looks like a really good box. So whatever happened here, you found your way back. And I'm not sure if it's just maybe a poor quality photo, but some of the lines you have for the blob seem really fuzzy. Like really, really fuzzy. And I'm not sure why. Are you using like the side or like a really dull pencil or something? Because they look just a little too fuzzy. I think you can use a sharper pencil for the blobs as well. Great. Lots of depth. Wonderful. Good job, Jeremiah. Let's see, Dave, what you got going on here, Dave? Lots of little peoples without limbs. You got blobs behind. It's hard for me to see all these blobs you guys are drawing. I mean, which is fine. They were only for your eyes because you drew them really light. Camera doesn't pick it up well. Now you know my struggle. All those blobs, all the light lay-in lines I do, you guys can't see them, so I have to draw them darker, which sets them in stone a little bit more, so I can't make as many mistakes. But yeah, I mean, some of yours you're starting to... It looks like you're intentionally twisting them. Like, this is definitely not parallel to these ones, but I feel like you're trying to, like, twist that ribcage a little bit, make it more dynamic, which is fine. Like, that's not an issue. Here, that convergence looks like it's not just convergence. It looks like it's actually getting thinner towards the bottom. And again, also, that's fine. Like, maybe you're implying the width of the shoulders in here as well. So, whatever. This is good. And this page looks really good. Very, very nice. Very, very, very nice. Ito says, I've been blobbing my drawing since our sketch lesson on the line section. I'm a master blobber at this point. Hey, yeah, you are a master blobber. These look good. I mean, kind of. Like, it looks like, for example, in this first one, you drew a circle and then you drew a box inside of that circle. It doesn't look like you really used that circle to help you figure out the actual orientation of the box. Some other ones, yes. Like, I can see you had like a blob here and then you had a little cap and then you tried to fit that in. But some of them, you're just drawing a big circle around your box. Try to stay a little bit closer to the blob. Like, use the blob to actually visualize the box. Like, this blob you have here with this cap does not in any way translate to the box you drew. Like that is a totally different box. Maybe just one axis is the same, but like the dimensions are different. Their orientation is a little bit different. So try to stay closer to your master blobs. Let's see, John, I like how you did a bunch of blobs and then you went over all of them and then you went over all of them again. So you did all 3 stages so that I could look at them. That's kind of cool. All right. So you got a little hockey puck, you got a long ones. So far, all these blobs look pretty good. Like, there's nothing wrong with your blobs. And yeah, your boxes look good too. And the cleaned up versions. Great job. All right, John, you did it. You did the exercise. You did it well. You're ready to move on to the next one. Ooh, man. Lensard. Lensard? Leansard. Lensard. One of those is maybe correct. This is awesome. I mean, this is pretty much straight out of the figure drawing course. You probably took that, huh? Because this is the Robo Bean with a Loomis head on top. But I'll give you credit. It looks like you did put some blobs under it. So, nice job. But really, honestly, like, nothing to say. I mean, clearly, you know what you're doing here. I mean, you've got some crazy dynamic perspective going on these, and you're handling it. You're controlling that really well. So, good job. I mean, you're even starting to, like, kind of rubberize and morph your boxes a little bit. So I'm glad you're doing this course to kind of refine your fundamentals. But yeah, your skills are definitely shining through here on this exercise. So good job. Yeah, generally, guys, I think you're all doing mostly pretty well. And the mistakes you're making are also pretty much expected, right? Like a little bit of convergence issues here and there, but nothing that a little bit of practice won't solve. What is this? Hello, everyone. Hello, Stan the Prokopenko. I didn't know that's what people called me. Stan the Prokopenko? That's great intro. Thank you. I got an off-topic question. After I complete this course, at least on level 1, will I be able to tackle your other courses, like the figure drawing, anatomy, and the portrait? Looking forward to Marshall's perspective course too. Yeah, I think after level 1, yeah, you definitely can move on to figure, and then you can come back to level 2 whenever you want. I mean, you don't ever have to really come back and do level 2. Like, learning art generally is a very fluid kind of web. You know, there's not a linear way to learn how to draw or paint. There's so many skills that depend on other skills that it's always going to be this kind of frustrating, oh, but I don't know this thing yet. And then you go and then you learn that and you're like, oh, wait, but I don't know these 7 things yet. And then you go and you have to learn one of those. And then while you're doing that, you're like, man, I forgot that first thing I learned. I got to go back and review that thing now. And that's how it is, because it's not linear. It's a big web. And all these things are like connected to 17 other things. And so like, which one do you go to next? It's really hard to say. But generally, like what this course is supposed to be is giving you the base of the most important things that are connected to a lot of other things, right? Like I'm giving you the information that's going to help you learn all those other smaller things, because these little connections are the biggest, right? Like if you imagine like neurons in your brain, some get really, I guess, do they get large, or the pathways just get really thick? Like the ones that get used the most, let's just say that they get bigger. Learning about shape, that is a huge neuron. That is one that is just going to be connected to almost everything you learn in learning to draw. And so learning to control shapes early on is like, well, it's pretty important. Same with lines. You're using lines on almost everything you do. And then edges and values and perspective. These things, it's going to set you up to then be able to move to, say, figure drawing and have be prepared to do it, because you already know the basics of these fundamental concepts. It's not like you're going to go into figure drawing and say like, oh, I already know all this stuff. No, you're going to learn completely new information. Some a little overlapping stuff like this exercise, there's some overlapping in there, but you'll be able to go into figure drawing and add on to it. You'll definitely be ready for figure drawing. I wouldn't say you'll be able to go from here straight to anatomy. I would go to figure drawing first, then to anatomy, because there's some stuff that we just assume that you already know about the body when we do anatomy, and that's the stuff you'll learn in figure drawing. That was just a really long way of saying yes. It looks like Gannon probably answered you correctly, so I don't know. I probably should have just skipped that. It looks like you got another one here. Let's see. They're shaded. Yeah, I like how you're pushing it. Like the convergence, for example, in this head is really extreme, but it works. It works because it all seems kind of relatively the same. Like this is converging a lot, and this one, and these are converging a lot. Like all three axes are converging a lot, and so it works all together. And then this one has a lot of convergence going back. Same with this one. So all of these converging a lot makes it work just fine. You probably should have made that box in the back get smaller so that the convergence between the boxes is pretty extreme as well. But that's just an idea. I don't think the way you did it is necessarily wrong. But yeah, this is good. I like that page. Pedro watched the tutorial and wasn't quite sure if I understood this correctly. Want to know if I'm on the right path. Wait, I think I might have answered this already. Oh yeah, I already answered you here, but I guess I'll just read it off so other people, if they missed this comment. Truth be told, I've done these box people exercises a few times, and drawing the blob is more unintuitive than jumping straight to the box for me. Did I misunderstand the tutorial? Am I entirely wrong? Or is it more of a comfort thing? Sorry for the overlapping forms. I rushed this and miscalculated. Yeah, your drawings do look a little bit rushed. They're a little sloppy. So good job for catching that. As for your question, if drawing a box, going straight into a box is more intuitive for you, I feel like, yeah, that is more of just a personal thing. You might think more in terms of just math. You might just be really good at geometry and just logical thinking like that. And that's totally fine because, like I said, everybody's a little bit different and we're all going to have our preferences in the way we approach a drawing. If you find that that's the case, then great. I mean, keep doing that. If you try to figure out why you struggle doing it this way, because this is actually a useful thing. If you have some kind of blob, you should be able to easily turn it into a box or kind of add construction or add structure to something that feels a little bit melty, right? Like if you're drawing a body and you're feeling like, man, that part just doesn't feel like it's got much structure to it, you should be able to go in there and add structure, right? So that's a skill. And so if you struggle with that, then you should practice that. But also keeping in mind that, like, generally if you're sketching, if you feel just super comfortable just jumping right into those final lines, go ahead. Like, that's great. That's a great skill to have. Kim Jong-gi went right into those lines. He didn't put construction lines underneath. He didn't have to figure things out on the paper. He figured out in his head and he just went right into it. And I think that's a great skill, a kind of an advantage over us mortals that need to think through it and go in steps. So yeah, you use that to your advantage if that's the case. But I think my response to you originally was that, yeah, it doesn't look like you're necessarily following the process that I showed. Like, I see you're drawing kind of the outline, but then I don't see you putting in, trying to figure out, okay, there's a top plane visible here. You're just kind of quickly identifying a plane there with like an oval, and then a side plane. You're doing more of just figuring out the contours, and then you're putting a center line in there, which is good too. Like, that's another thing you could do to help you visualize the forms. But you weren't following the process. It doesn't seem like you were doing the same steps that I showed in the video. So maybe just try to watch the video again and just follow along. Just do exactly what I'm doing, and then afterwards try to do it on your own blobs. Maybe that will help. All right, Gannon says, because I'm basically 12, as I look at everyone's assignments, I can't help but think of this. All right, we'll call it a draw. Yeah, that works on multiple levels, huh? That's funny. That's good. That's a nice comic. Good job, Gannon. And then Gannon, looks like you also did a few boxes, but I don't see any blobs. Did you hide that layer? I want to see it. I want to see how you started with a blob and you turned it into a box. It's called blob to box. It's not called draw a perfect box from scratch. But honestly, like, I don't know. These look great. Whatever it is that you did here, whether you started with a blob or not, these look amazing. So keep doing that. Same thing here. Like, whew, that's got some depth, man. Those are good boxes. Great boxes. Great line work too. It's really nice style. Charles, let me jump into a few of these. Looks like you got really fun pages of stuff. A little wobbly in your line. I mean, try to use your shoulder. I don't know if you're using just your fingers or your wrist, but they're looking really wobbly. So use your arm, your elbow, your shoulder more than your fingers. Your wrist is okay as well if you're drawing smaller lines, but not your fingers. And don't draw real slow. Try to like nice, quick, not too quick. There's a good balance. You gotta find that nice balance, but it looks like you're drawing too slow. But really dynamic. I mean, the convergence individually on some of these looks a little bit like sometimes it just goes the wrong way. Unless you're just trying to show that like the hips or something are getting bigger at the bottom, which they're not. Well, I guess they are if you're starting from the waist, but whatever. If you're intentionally showing thicker as it goes away from us, then great. Otherwise, that's not a box that's getting thicker as it goes away, so that's wrong. But I really like the way that they're all interacting. It's very dynamic, and there is a lot of depth in these. Even though sometimes the convergence is wrong, it still feels like it's got a lot of depth. So you're clearly doing a lot of things correctly. And pretty much same thing here on this page. But I like these pages, man. They look really fun. Just like a bunch of bots that, like broken droids were thrown into space and now they're just like space debris. That's what it looks like. It's really fun. Let's see, Scott, you got a full-on process here. Let's see this. So you started with these blobs. Then you added some stuff. You added some edges. Then you cleaned them up. Wow, that quickly improved. And then you colored them. All right. That's cool. Yeah, man, good job. Wow, that's impressive. Nice. It looks like you got a lot of value from it. I hope it helped. Your blob started real rough. And then just like suddenly it got good. So, yeah, nice. Zan. Whoa. Challenging one, but I think it has helped me get boxes a little slowly down way more. Definitely still getting tricked into weird things. If you follow too closely, your box is way off. Yeah, you're not supposed to follow the curves, but you're supposed to just use it to help you imagine a box. But again, some people, it might not be as intuitive as for other people. But let me see. I mean, maybe you're just being really hard on yourself. Yeah, you're just being really hard on yourself. Your blobs and your boxes look really good. Like with most other people, sometimes little convergence issues. There needs to be a name for this problem. Convergence issues. This is just such a common problem where just lines are not converging correctly. Let's see. I'll try to think of one. If you guys have an idea, let me know in the comments. Some kind of clever name for convergence issues. It already sounds like something your therapist would diagnose you with. You got convergence issues. Yeah, dude, your second page looks even better. This is awesome. This is great. I don't even see convergence issues in this one. Yeah, Zan, quit your whining. No, really though. Weird things with the blob, man, you did it perfectly. This is great. No, you did a good job. Nothing to be worried about. You're totally on the right track. Clean, you're thinking through it. You're problem solving correctly. Very good, Zan. Good job. Congratulations. A+. Brandon, these look kind of fun. Let me see what you got here. Got little robot people, muscles. That's funny. Okay. So you started with a rib cage instead of a blob, but that's cool. That works. The box came out pretty good. Same with the pelvis. Yeah. But these are cool. They're really fun. I mean, the proportions are off, but you know that. What is this? Okay, you're doing blob to bot, blob to droid. That's cool. Yeah, I really like it. This kind of reminds me of that guy from Interstellar. What's the name of that robot? The AI dude that runs and like picks up the woman and like just saves her. And that looks like Wall-E, of course. Maybe it is Wall-E. Oh man, but the depth in this one. Look at that. It looks so three-dimensional. This is great. Yeah, not much to say about it. That's great. You're taking this to the next level, which is really fun. Oh, wait, let's see. You said, it's fun doing these, especially after I read Andrew Loomis's Fun with a Pencil. It opens a whole new world for me to draw from imagination, memory, instead of rigidly focusing on drawing purely from reference. That's cool. Let me know what you liked most about Fun with a Pencil. Just curious. Juice says, probably will do some more level 2. Okay, cool. Another good one. You guys are killing it today. This is great. Great. No critique. I'm sorry if this is useless, but these are really good. I mean, I guess this is kind of what we want, right? This is the optimal situation where my critique video is just, oh, cool, like, you got convergence issues. Everything else looks good. That means you guys are on the right track. Let's keep going. Oh, this is probably what Ganon saw. And he was like, okay, I gotta make a comic. These little arms. Reminds me of that dinosaur, the T-Rex. I forgot what movie it is, but he's like, I got a big head, little arms. That's what this guy sounds like. Man, Rachel, I keep seeing you in the comments with this crazy... oh my god, I totally misinterpreted your profile picture. That's actually super cute. I thought the whole thing was a face, and it looked like those Quiznos sponge monkeys. Like, that's what I thought it looked like when it was really small. But never mind, that's actually a really super cute character. Like, that's awesome. Yikes, I'm not even halfway. My god, you guys, there's a lot today. I'm gonna have to skip through a bunch of these, because otherwise this is gonna be a 4-hour video. Alright, let me quickly scroll through. Find ones where I actually have something to say. Let's see. Got more fun stick figures. Yay, stick figures. Oh, okay. Well, Taji says, I finally caught up. Hopefully get critiqued for the 100th episode. Wow. Alright. Since you tried catching up and you did it, let me see. Let me see what you got. Okay, like this first one looks a little sloppy. Convergence is wrong. You got convergence issues. This one looks nice. This one's got some nice depth to it. Let me look at some other pages. Yeah, with this one, it would be really nice to see the photo that you're using, because I'm not convinced that you weren't seeing the front or the back plane. But if this is true and you're just looking straight at these two planes, you've got that skewed kind of italicized box issue as well, where these lines going back should be going up a little bit more to match these. And I don't know if that makes sense. It just doesn't look like this plane is perpendicular to this one. It looks like you have a plane and then the other plane should be here, but instead it's like going like this. It's twisted a little bit. Let's see. These look a little better, but I'm just not sure where these edges are. I think I see the edges here. It just doesn't look like you completed this box. And a little bit of convergence issues here. Like, that's going too far. Should be a little bit more this way. But overall, pretty good. Like, this looks nice. This box back here looks really good. This is a little bit of a trapezoid, but it looks like a good trapezoid. Like, when I say convergence issues, sometimes it still works as a trapezoid, and sometimes it just doesn't feel right. It feels like just the perspective is broken. In your case, with a lot of these, it just looks like a trapezoid, which is fine. It still looks like a good trapezoid. So anyway, yeah, that's my critique for you. Hope it was worth all that effort to catch up. But no, you still got a bunch of the course to follow along with. Ooh, look at that figure. All right, you got your level 1 blobs. You didn't really follow this blob. You kind of elongated it, pointed it up a little bit more. But the other ones are pretty good. The other ones, you follow them really well. And look at that. Look what you could do when you know how to just put blobs in space and convert them into boxes. Very nice. Looks three-dimensional. It doesn't look like he's looking at this guy because his head is like slightly in front of his knee, right? And he's looking straight down. And so in front of his knee would be like he's looking here. So if he was to look more in, I think his head should be turned more this way. Which it seems like that's what you were trying to do, is have them kind of be looking at each other. So having his head turned a little bit would actually make this feel a little bit more dynamic as well. But whatever. I'm being obviously super picky here. This looks great. Nice figure. Whoa. Oh, yeah, look at that. Classic. Look at that. Even the old masters did this. Okay. Scrubbing through. I'm sorry if I'm skipping yours. Nothing personal. Okay. A lot of these. Yeah, you're not following the blob. Like, all of your blobs are bigger than your boxes. And they shouldn't be. They should be roughly the same size. Like, if I imagine this blob that's like a cheese wheel, I don't think that this shoebox is what the cheese wheel is implying. Right? Same thing with this one. I mean, I see what you're doing. You're kind of going corner to corner, but I would make it feel more like it's on the edges of that cheese wheel. And also, your blob doesn't have to be a perfect circle. The blob could be a little bit boxy. It could have edges where there's some straights in there. It's just that really all I mean by blob is that it's not three-dimensional. It's not a box. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be sketched in. Oh, Jesus, these lights. These lights. But, wanted to say, your other ones down here, where you started making them into people, those are a lot closer. Those look like you're actually following, most of the time, you're following the blob. Because it seems like you went from being just like, oh, just some arbitrary thing, to now, oh, wait, I'm drawing a head and a ribcage. And so your blob was more specific. It was still super simple. Like, it's, you know, you look at that ribcage that you indicated, that's a very simple shape, but it's more specific. And then you stayed a lot more true to that because you were drawing a ribcage. And so you weren't going to be like, oh, from ribcage now it's a shoebox, right? Like, you stayed true to that. And that's how I want you to approach just these solo blobs over here as well. Be specific with which blob you're drawing, and then draw the box that blob represents. Look at that. Nice lines. So much action and drama. It's like they're flying through the air. When these boxes land, wherever they're going, they're going to make some impact. No, seriously, great line work. I mean, you can look at how, this is just a good example of like how lines can show energy and movement. It's like, it's a box, right? It's just a box, but it looks like it's flying through the air and it's got life. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for showing that. Same thing with some of these, like that blob is really big and it does not indicate the box that you drew. But other ones you did follow it. So I think this is an issue that happens with some of you guys that are already really good at drawing boxes, and you're just doing this just to humor me or something. You're just like, okay, sure, I'll do a blob. Here's my box. It's just like, I could draw a box. Like, look at that. That blob does not equal that box. But yeah, clearly, really nice boxes. Morena says, last minute assignment. Hard to imagine it completely without reference. Well, you did a really good job. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming since you commented on that, this may be one of your first times trying to draw those three forms, you know, head, ribcage, pelvis from imagination. And if it is one of your first times, this is wonderful. I mean, this is totally workable. You could start constructing that into a person or some other, you know, some character, humanoid character. Yeah, good job. You should be proud of this. This is really good. Ooh, and page 2 is even more dynamic. My God, no, these are great. These have a lot of depth. This is really, really good. Good job. Whoa, this is cool. What is this? Mon Barker. Interesting. These look like they're melty. This looks kind of surreal for some reason. This little broken droid. That is fun. You started with cylinders instead of blobs, but that was, I mean, sure, whatever you want. That worked too. But what's up with this? Are these Mario mushrooms? Mario mushroom to box? What? Okay. Yeah, I mean, you did it. I guess it works. So you're just drawing like these worms and then you're containing them in a box. I mean, that's not what the exercise was, but this is also an interesting exercise. That's cool. Rachel, look, there you are again. Yeah, totally. When it's small, this looks like the lips are here. This right here is the lips, and it just looks like those little sock monkey. What are they called? Sock monkeys? Squirrel monkeys? But when you zoom in, you can see that the mouth is all the way up there, and it looks way cuter. All right. Let me see. Scrolling through these, more of the same. Just a lot of good stuff happening on all your stuff. Marina, there you are again with your awesome dynamic boxes. Pamela, you got a full-on big-ass robot here. Convergence issues with some of these, but overall, great start. Also considering that this is a really complex interaction between a lot of different boxes. And considering that, you did a great job putting all those boxes together. So even though there's a few convergence issues, mostly just in this one arm, you were really close, and that is something you should be proud of. That's a cool drawing. Oh, look at that artsy photo. Oh, I just put that pen there. That's just naturally how it felt. I do that all the time. I'll just do like an Instagram post, and it's like, my pencil is just over here. And it looks good. It makes the drawing look better. And your boxes are good too. But no, really, your boxes are actually really good. These are nice. And I think we're at the end. One thing I've realized in the process is that I still have much difficulty rotating boxes freely in my mind. Most of the time, I rely on real-life boxes for guidance. Also, I did use a ruler in the end to check perspective. Yeah, that's fine that you're using a box in real life to guide you. I mean, that's how you develop that ability to see it, is that you keep looking and studying and visualizing, and then eventually you just get that into your memory. Because drawing from imagination is really just drawing from memory. And if we don't remember what a box looks like, it's hard to do it. It's hard to draw it from imagination, memory. And so, yeah, great. Keep reminding yourself of what a box looks like. Draw that. But occasionally try to attempt it without looking at the reference first, and then pull it out and check yourself. Because again, remember that feedback loop I mentioned in some episode? I don't remember where it was, but the feedback loop is really important, and that's great feedback. If you can draw a box and then look at a box and then check to make sure it's correct, then that's wonderful. But the problem is that I don't think you have a bunch of boxes lying around that are like all sorts of different proportions that you can match the box you drew. But if you have a cube, you can at least kind of orient it in the same angle as the one you drew. And even though maybe the length is going to be different, you could still kind of help you visualize the convergence of that. So attempt it first on your own, and then pull out whatever that reference is that you're using. Looks like you're having, let's see, a few questions here. Still unsure though, especially the box that represents the guy's face. At first I thought, of course, the bottom plane would show since we're looking up. But then again, maybe it's possible that only the front and side planes are visible, like number 2. Okay, see, you're playing with the different head shapes. Not the bottom. Also, if the bottom is visible, how much of it should I show? Perhaps just a little, like 3? What do you think? Let's take a look. Yeah, that's a tough one. First of all, because this is one artist's interpretation, and the style is that not everything is made perfectly three-dimensional. Some things are kind of intentionally flattened and cartoonized, right? Like, this is not a realistic drawing. This is highly stylized. So it's like you're interpreting someone else's interpretation of something. And in that case, it's going to be even more difficult to figure out what the orientation is than from a photograph. So keep that in mind, that we can interpret this in multiple ways, especially because of how much subtlety there is. So probably all 3 of yours are good enough as an interpretation here. I would focus more on, well, which looks better, right? You've tried these 3 heads, and if you were actually doing this for some practical reason, the actual decision that you would have to make there isn't which one is closest to my reference, but it's which one do I like? And if you're asking me, I think I like number 1 the most. That one to me looks more dynamic. It looks more three-dimensional. It just looks more correct. If you're asking me which one looks the most like the poster or the illustration here, I think number 3. I think that that orientation is closest, where we're probably seeing a little bit of that bottom plane, but not much. And you're right to notice that yeah, we're looking up at the head, but then the head is looking down at us as well. And so it's like, how much are we looking up more than he's looking down, right? And I think 3 captures that balance the best, but I like 1 the best. That just looks nicer to me. So, okay, done. Good job, guys. Really, really good job. No, seriously, like, I think lots of successful projects here. You guys are definitely improving, and we're gonna get even better. We're only about halfway done with this. Just wait till we start shading. We're not there yet, though. More perspective coming.